How's it going, guys, and welcome to today's video. In this video I'm going to be diagnosing and rectifying a engine management light that's on in a Ford Focus. This is a 2008 model and it has the 2-litre Duratec petrol engine in it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the scan tool. I'm going to run a fault code check and see what the light is related to. After that, I'm going to do some follow-up diagnostics and see what is actually causing that problem and fix it. So stay tuned and find out what's involved to get that light off. Alright, so I got my scan tool here. I have hooked up to it. I have the ignition on and I'm about to check what is going on with this. So Focus, 2-litre. I pricked the wrong one there, didn't I? Go back. 2-litre powertrain system. It's a 2004 onwards. Yes. Okay. So, diagnostic trouble codes. Okay. Alright, so P0400 EGR system flow malfunction. Right, okay. Let's have a look. So the actuator side on this is not there, it looks like. That's blank. So what that would mean, if you have that, you could potentially check to see if it's opening and closing. If you have a actuator function on your scan tool, if the vehicle allows it, if your scan tool has it. This one looks like it doesn't. So before we go into this any further, I just want to start by showing the wiring diagram layout of the EGR, and it's always a good idea to pull all the relevant information that you can, the testing data, the expected typical values that you would want to see when doing these tests, so that you know when you're testing it that you're getting the right results. If you don't have the information, it can get very confusing when carrying out these types of tests. So first of all, looking down here, this is the EGR valve. This wire here is a power wire. This is another power wire, green and red, green and black. It goes up along and connects in on these points here, goes over to the vehicle speed sensor, down here to the injectors, solenoids along here. This is the intake manifold air control solenoids number 1 and 2. If you look down here, that's number 1 and that's number 2, and that is all running off the circuit, so they're sharing some of the connections in that point. I have also got the checks that I'm going to be doing. So this is the component checks. Now I'm going to be back probing, so I'm not going to be testing it like this in this setting, but I will be doing the resistance checked when I have the components out of the vehicle and seeing if we're getting these readings. So you have 1 and 2, you're expected to get 13.4 in resistance, 2, 3, then you join 4, 5 and 5, 6. And what that means is, if you look down here, 1 and 2, you'll be testing there. 2 and 3, you'll be testing there. 4 and 5, you'll be testing there. And 5 and 6, you'll be testing there. So you'll be coming across on those, testing the resistance, testing the resistance, testing the resistance, testing the resistance, and making sure that you're happy with all of those. If all them tests show to be okay, I will be cleaning the EGR valve regardless, but it would be a case that the EGR valve being dirty is causing the issues that we're having. So without further ado, let's get into it. I will run through kind of the strip down procedure that I'll be doing, and then I will be showing you the EGR valve out, and I'll be briefly running over the tests that I'll be doing as well, and giving you all the information on how you would go about testing this on this one. One last thing, if you wanted to go to the ECU and check there if you had issues with your power, so if the results you were getting when you're back probing here, if you weren't happy with the voltages, if you weren't getting battery voltage, and you wanted to check on the ECU side to see if you had power there, to see if there was a break in the line, you have the pin data here as well, which is 32 and 33, and 44 is the ones you'd be pinning into. 32, 33 and 44, and it gives a breakdown on the testing side just there. So if you are going doing that, you have a little breakdown of what to do, and that's just the waveform that you would expect if you're scoping it, which I will not be doing today. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, so I've got the vehicle here and we're ready to start stripping down and getting involved in this. Like anything, there's a few ways to tackle jobs like this. This is just the way I'm going about it, and this is the way I'll be diagnosing it. So we're moving some things out of the way just to give you an idea of what I'll be removing. I'll be taking the airbox completely out, including the pipe that goes to the top of the rocker cover. Down on this side, I'll be taking the intake solenoids out of the way. So I'll be removing that plate and the I think they're T25s. I'll be taking them out of the way too, and I'll be moving that back out of position. That will give me just enough room. The EGR valve is down here. That will give me just enough room to free out and be able to move the EGR out of position. I will be removing a clamp on the coolant, one of the coolant hoses, and also I'll have to take off the hose, the water coolant hose that goes to the EGR, because it is a water cooled EGR valve that's in these. So that's it. I will be moving these all out of the way, and I will be showing you the tests that I'll be doing then. We now have a bit more space, and this is the loom that we're got access to, so I'll just pull that connector out of there, and we'll get at the back of these now, and we'll start to do our tests. Alright, so I have my back probes in to position there. The green and red and the black and green wire is being back probed. I'm going doing the central green and red one first, and I have a off the earth cable up here. That's what I'll be using, and I've got my multimeter up there ready to go. So I'm going to hook this up now, and I'm going to do this test. Okay, so I have this hooked up. Battery voltage is currently 13.6. 13.5 at that probe down there. I'm going to change it to my other one that I have hooked up. And as you can see, that one is 1 volt. This one, the voltage would change on it if you were able to actuate the EGR valve now. If you were, you would see that increase when the engine is running. So if you were able to activate it and put the percentage of the EGR valve on, you would see that voltage change. So that is that. I'm going to run through the control wires, make sure that all the voltages are good on that, and then I'm going to disconnect that now and start to take out the EGR valve. So I just lifted the air box up out of the way there to give a bit more access on the bottom side. It's going to be difficult to view it, but let me get a screwdriver actually. So if you follow this screwdriver here, just down on the underside there is a 10mm, and on the lower side here, I don't know if you can see that from the top end, just down here is another 10mm. So I'm going to be taking those out now. So that's the left side one loosened, and now I'm going to be doing the right side. Okay, so I made a bit more room here because it was getting a bit tight. What I've taken out since is I've just moved these lines out of the way. There was 4 T25 Torx holding that down. The air breather box and pipe I took out of the way, and I have it on the floor over there. And I took, you know, a couple of different electrical connectors off there. Now that left me with a little bit of room, still not a whole lot, but I'm trying to save as much as I can when it comes to removal. And I have a wobble joint on the end of a 1/4 inch drive and a 10mm, and I have cracked this now, so it's actually moving. You know, this is when we expect to see coolant coming out, which it is coming out now. This pipe down here will have to be disconnected, but you can see the EGR valve is now loose. So I'm gonna keep going. You might see it a little bit better there. That's the angle I actually got it. That's why them wobble joints are so useful. They come in so handy. And without it, I would definitely have had to take out more, because this was right in the way of the shot. Oh yeah, I backed that out of the way just to allow the joint to be able to flex up a little bit more. So that's it. I'll show you at the next stage when I have the EGR valve backed out. Okay, so I have the EGR valve out. Always a good idea to have a look in the passageways to see if there's any blockages inside in here. I've already done that and it looks pretty clear. So I'm going to be assessing the EGR valve now on the bench. So we have the EGR valve out here, just having a look inside to see is there much carbon buildup. And there is some buildup in some of the areas, but we're going to go and we're going to test this unit. I'm actually going to strip the top side off it now as well, and just show you a few little checks you can do. But there is quite a bit of carbon buildup in there, and we will be cleaning out this EGR valve very thoroughly before we do any reinstall. We are going to be reinstalling this unit if we deem it good, and testing it to see if it's good enough to get the job done. And then you just push on this unit and see if it's free. And what I'm doing is just pushing down, letting off. There is a bit of friction on that, right in there.
So I can feel friction right up the top side here. So when I'm about halfway down, just actually probably a quarter of the way down, it's a bit sticky on the shaft. And as you can see there, that part has quite a bit of build up on it. And that is causing it to, I would imagine, stick at times when it should be opening. So next thing to do is give this a good clean with a carby cleaner, which I have. I'm going to blow that out. I'm going to keep this pressed down as I'm doing it. It's definitely sticky. It should be, when I'm pressing this should be nice and smooth. There should be no hesitation throughout the stroke, but it is catching just on the first quarter of the movement. It's starting to catch. So I'm going to give that a good clean out now. Alright, so I got a drainer here for all the stuff to run off into. I'm just going to start cleaning this now. Really just soaking it and moving the shaft in and out. And if you turn this, you can also turn the shaft, which can help you with cleaning. You can just turn the shaft like that, and you can keep cleaning around. Okay, so the cleaning is going well, but I just wanted to show you the difference from one side to another. If I put the valve up there, if you see on the right hand side where it seats, that is clean. And on the left hand side, it's still dirty. So just in here, if you look at the clean bit, and just to the side, the bit that's still carboned up, that's because I've cleaned all along there, and I'm still going along here, and I cleaned the shaft as well. So if you see, just look in there, and as I rotate it, you'll see still carboned, and it's clean as you rotate around. So with this stage, this is the most important stage of this. You need to take your time, make sure that it's cleaned, make sure that it's seating down there like you want it to, and that there's no carbon restricting that. You do not want to go to all the trouble of taking it off, thinking you spray a little bit of carburetor cleaner in it and you're good to go. A lot of that stuff has been really welded onto it over many, many years with high temps. So take your time, clean it as good as you can, even leave it soaking if you have to, and come back. Get a brush. You can use toothbrush, or you could use some of them paint gun brushes, have nice firm bristles on them that will help clean it off. A little flat screwdriver like this is always good for just chipping away, and that's it. I'm going to finish this off now, and I'm going to show you the end results and how it comes out. So all of this is now clean and back together and ready to install in the vehicle. I did, while I have it out, check the resistance across the pins on this just to do that additional test and make sure that it was all good. So for example, across pin 1 to pin 2 was 14 ohms in resistance. The same was to 2 and 3, I think it was like 14.1, 4 and 5, in and again around the 14, and then 5 and 6 was 14.2. So that showed up all good. You just go across the pins, you find out on your EGR valve what resistance you would expect to get, but I have that check done now, and that showed up good. So I'm going to put this all back together again, and I expect this problem to be resolved by the sticking carbon in the valve. You can see now that it's cleaned out, and it's all dried out. And even though you see a bit of carbon still there, it's seating in a much better way than what it was. It's very difficult to get a good view in there. So that's as good as I can get it for now. It's all back together with this, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so the vehicle is all back together now. I've checked and I've topped up the coolant as well. It's getting up to operating temperature and everything is looking good so far. The fault code has been cleared, it has not returned, but we need to put up a lot of mileage on this and make sure that everything is good. I will check back in with you when basically enough mileage has been put up on this and give you the final result of this EGR clean. Back in the focus again. It is quite a few days since I started work on this and completed the cleaning of the EGR valve, put it all back together and cleared the codes. I am now back at it again. I'm about to run the fault codes. As you'll see, there is no engine management light on and the kilometers has been considerably changed since we first started it. So it has a lot of miles done, should I say kilometers done since, and it has been very effective. There has been no issues with the vehicle whatsoever. So I'm just going to quickly run through the scan on this again. Let me turn off the light. Going to run through this quickly. And there you go, no trouble codes found. I'm going to bring it for one last test drive now. Just back from the test drive, no engine light on, and I have just ran the trouble codes and nothing has returned. Everything seems to be fine. So the cleaning of the EGR valve, making sure that that seat that the valve sits on was nice and clean, making sure that the valve stem was not sticking in any way, and that extra time that we spent chipping away at that carbon seems to have worked, and it is now back to what it should be. Remember guys, there is many types of EGR valves out there. It's not just one type suits all. Try and pull, if you're doing these type of jobs, all the relevant information that you can to help you with correct diagnosis. I hope you enjoyed this video guys. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please like, share, comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.